again. Welcome to our monthly channel presentation. Today we have a special guest, Mr. Isaac Lim, and we also have a very controversial topic that the psychologists and psychiatrists may not be happy with some of the things that is done. But I want you all to be aware of this modality and its application. And I have used it and I find it useful. So I hope that you can learn something from our presentation today. Let me share my slide. So this is called the EFT in short form. It means emotional freedom technique. So this was created in 1990s by Gary Craig. Wait, I just moved my slide away. And it uses acupuncture and acupressure system, and uses the points along the body's energy meridians, the highways or channels through which the body's energy flows, according to the Chinese medicine. And sometimes it's called the psychological acupressure. So according to the theory behind EFT, activating these meridian points by tapping them with the fingertips helps to restore the balance of energy in the body. In this way, the tapping technique can elevate both emotional and physical issues. So the EFT methodology also draws from cognitive behavior therapy and exposure therapy by pairing the tapping with focused thoughts about a specific issue or traumatic experience. So how is it done? So there's a protocol. So I just briefly talk about it, and Mr. Isaac Lim will explain further. So it activates tapping points for some of these mental issues, and it involves these 6 steps. So first is that you identify the issue that is causing your distress, and you rank the emotional or physical intensity of the issue from a scale of 0 to 10. And formulate a simple phrase that names the issue and includes an expression of self-acceptance or self-compassion despite the issue. While repeating the phrase, tap on the points on the head, collarbone, and under the arm using a specific sequence. Use 2 or more fingertips and tap 5 times on each point. After that, you retest the intensity of the emotion. Repeat the steps until the intensity reduces. So this is the standard protocol. Maybe Isaac have a slightly different design. So he will explain later. So this, I have been looking at some of the studies, and these are some of my conclusions from my view. I find that tapping is a method to anchor our monkey mind. So our mind will run around from our past memory and future expected events. So by anchoring to the present moment, this is have been popularized by Eckhart Tolle. Anchoring to the present moment will calm you down from negative past and future mental affliction. So you're at present. Empower you to take action now to change the future expected event. What it means that if your mind is not traveling to the past and future, you are at present, you can make a conscious choice to make a difference so that the outcome will be better in future. And it's also a very good first aid for acute mental disturbance. Similar to hugging of young children when they are in distress, or embrace your own family members. So sometimes when a person is very distressed, when in a panic mode, we can use this method to calm them down, and it works very fast. Yeah, from my experience. And it's also a behavioral therapy. It pair cues with pleasant physical and mental formation. What it means that you have an unpleasant feeling, you pair it with something nicer. And lastly, it could be also the powerful mind making the change. So yeah, I'm sure you have seen many studies, the power of placebo. If you don't do a randomized control trial, the placebo effect can be up to 30 to 50%. So it's not important whether there's a lot of research, but if it's helpful to our patient, sometimes we can apply some of these techniques that is safe and also doesn't cost a lot of money. So with that summary, I just want to all of you to experience the power of this tapping. You just follow my instruction through the screen. This will take only about 1 minute. So with your eyes closed, so I let all of you get ready, sit in a comfortable place in your seat, with your eyes closed, and then use your fingers to tap on your eyes. With your eyes closed, tap on top of your eyes. So try to do that for the next 1 minute. I will give you the time now. You can start now and start tapping in a gentle, slow way, in a loving tap. It's not a strong tap, it's just a gentle, slow tap on the top of your head, of your eyes, sorry, on your eyebrows. So you can do it now. Okay, you can stop tapping and open your eyes. So please type in the chat box how you feel. What are the things that come to your mind? So you can I give you about 4 seconds to type in what comes to your mind when you are tapping. So the answer that I can give you from my own experience is that when we are in stress, our mind is wandering around. We're thinking about all kinds of things, anything in the past and also a future event that has not happened. By doing this, it's like a first aid to stop the thinking. So my own experience is that when you're doing this, you are not able to think because you have something disturbing you. It's like something that is knocking on your head. And this knocking on your head, one has two functions. One is that to stop you from thinking. The second thing is to anchor your mind to your body. So your mind is not able to fly around. It has to be focusing on this tapping that's disturbing you. So with that experience, I will go further. So this author, David Feinstein, has reported that there are 6 important factors for a good therapy. And if you look at the literature, the clinical community, like psychologists or psychiatrists, have seen these studies and have a lot of skepticism, and also some have mockery of this technique. So for a therapy to be useful, first, it must be effective in treating a range of clinical conditions. Second, it has a speed, it has a fast effect and durable. It's not a short-term effect. It can give you a durable benefits. So what's the mechanism behind this therapy? It produces changes in biological markers that correlate to the subjective improvement. It's a critical ingredient for the demonstrated clinical effects and sends signals that can increase or decrease arousal in specific areas of the brain. And the hypothesis that this work is the clinical strength of these acupoints, the protocol is that it can rapidly create emotionally vivid experiences that facilitate the modification and reconsolidation of maladaptive mental schemas. So in any of this medical research, there's all this that I'm sure all you know, the highest in meta-analysis, randomized control trial, uncontrolled outcome study, case study. So these are the hierarchy of of evidence, and the energy psychology using tapping. There are about 70 plus randomized control trial, 55 of this outcome study, 5 meta-analysis, and 19 systemic reviews have been published in peer-reviewed journals. There's other studies that's non-English journals. The mechanism is unknown, and the next frontier in the research of this therapy is using tools like EEG or functional MRI and also PET scan, and measuring the changes of cortisol, gene expression, immunological function. These are the future of the research on this therapy. But I also want to ask a question. Many of these psychological therapy or psychiatric medicine, some of them may not have robust study to prove the usefulness. And if you want to know more of the study, you can go to the website. You can I will send the link in Dr. T chat so that you can go in and look at it yourself. So here I won't go in to show you one by one, but these are some of the studies that have been published, meta-analysis, and randomized control trial. There's two types of randomized control trial. Not all randomized control trial is good. So you must have a randomized control trial that has strong generalizability. So compared to those with limited generalizability, means that is RCT, but it lacks follow-up, blinding, and rigor in design and also execution. So you must look at randomized control trial that can be generalized and good quality. So there are many publications there which you can look at it yourself, and comparative study with other psychological therapies, and this is some of the studies that have been published. This is published in 2020. The effect of EFT on nurses' stress, anxiety, and burnout levels during COVID-19 pandemic, a randomized control trial. So this is a small study about 30 plus nurses, and the conclusion says that a single online EFT session reduced stress, anxiety, and burnout levels in nurses treating COVID-19 patients. So it's very strongly significant. And there are many other studies which I think you can read on your own. And this study also shows that the EFT can reduce so this is a not randomized control trial. It's a comparison within the individual itself. Pre-EFT and post-EFT. You can see their anxiety level, depression based on some of these standardized scores. So it shows that throughout the whole post-therapy, they all improve. Yeah, pain, emotional experience, and craving also improve. So with that introduction, I will pass the floor to Mr. Isaac Lim. He is a patient of mine, and his story is very interesting and makes me attracted to him. And I also underwent a short course with him. He's the first qualified and approved GOE trainer in Malaysia and conduct international certification under this GAL. And he is the founder and principal of the Energy Psychological Center in Malaysia. And most importantly, Malaysian EFT chapter is under the Association of Hypnotists Persatuan Malaya, which is he's an elected committee member. And the Energy Psychology Center is the primary vehicle for creating awareness on EFT and producing trained EFT practitioners in Malaysia and internationally. Okay, with that, I'll pass the floor to Isaac, and you teach us a little bit about EFT. Isaac, I will stop sharing.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. There is energy EFT. And as I explained, it means emotional freedom techniques. And it is, in this case, we are going to be using it for stress management. I'll approach this with 3 questions. and demonstrate it with everyone participating. So you can all experience firsthand how this tapping technique works and how effective it is. I believe that the best way to learn anything is by experiencing it yourself. So please excuse me if I'm oversimplistic in my communication, as I'm used to training lay people and making it easy for the public to use tapping as a self-help tool. Right, the first question I pose would be, how do we know we are stressed? The answer is by listening to our body. Illustration is, let's say if I ask someone from the group and I ask, how do you know that you are angry? That person will reply, because so and so made me angry. But that is the reason for being angry. But how do you know in your own body that you are angry? Well, that participant may say, because when I'm angry, I feel this palpitation in my heart, in my chest. I feel a flush of anger, the heat that comes up. I feel a tension building up in my jaw, in my shoulders, maybe in my hands are clenched. So that would be what anger is. So anger, like all emotions, are actually sensations in our body. Emotional stress is not in our mind, but it can be found, stuck, and manifest as different sensations in various parts of our body. Energy EFT discovery statement is that emotions are feedback from the energy body through our senses. A simple illustration is when we have a cut on our finger and it sends a sensory signal where we are hurting in our body so that we can attend to the cut. In the same way, with emotional pain, it will send a sensory signal where we are experiencing and hurting in our body. Now, we are told in school that there are 5 senses. Actually, right now we know that there are more than 5 senses. There's another 9 to be added. And in that 9, again, is split into different senses. So there'll be about a total of 21 to 33 senses in the human body, depending on which neurologist you ask. These senses make us aware that we are living human beings. We can utilize this sensation to determine our stress level. So let us all turn to our metaphorical stethoscope and turn it inward to listen to our own body. What we're going to do is we're going to do a body mapping exercise to determine our stress level and where in our body your stress are located. So first thing we are going to do is to sit comfortably. Relax. Close your eyes if it helps you. And just breathe in and slowly breathe out. Breathe in and slowly breathe out. And be aware of your body. take note of the presence of these stark sensations in your body. They are your stress. How does your head feel? Is it heavy or light? Note where the tension is in your head. How's your eyes? Is it tired? Is it burning? Is it tense? How's your jaw? Does it feel tense? In your mouth and your throat that feel obstructed. Could it be clearer? How's your shoulders? Are they heavy? Are they tense? How's your arms? Do they feel heavy? In fact, you can even differentiate whether the left or the right arm is heavier. Note your fingers and your hands. Do they feel tingling? Do they feel sweaty? Or maybe tight? How far does that sensation go up your arm? How's your chest? Does it feel heavy and tight? Does it impede your breathing? Could you breathe better? How's your stomach? Does it feel distended? Does it feel bloated? Or is there some dis-ease? And we know how stress can cause hyperacidity, which upsets the stomach. How's your legs? Are they heavy? And your feet? Are they tingly too, like the extremity of your fingers? Well done. Now we have determined our general stress level and where in your body the stress are located. And with this stress body mapping and the knowledge, we can now go to the next question. How do we measure our stress level? Now, in the medical world, we measure physical stress or physical pain, that is, with the SUD scale, that is subjective units of distress. And that's a 1 to 10, as Dr. Wong just now pointed out. And this is borrowed by psychology and later by classical EFT for emotional distress. EFT has evolved. There are many different subsections and different way of presenting tapping. So there are different tapping sequences. And I have followed Sylvia Hartman, who created energy EFT. And she is an animal behavior researcher who later expanded her studies to an interaction between animals and human behavior. And she realized that the subjective units of the stress scale, the SUD, does not encompass the full human experience. She came out with this amazing SUE scale, subjective units of experience, of human experience. And if I were to show this in a share screen, okay. it starts with -10 and goes to a 0. -10, 9, 8 is where a person is so stressed that they're not able to function. And then as you go on the scale, you see that each person represented by this little colorful man will show you how they actually feel at each level of the scale. And a 0 as a gray man, that means don't feel anything at all. There's no stress. But she says that that is not good enough. Instead, the human experience should involve all the positive emotion that we should be having. And that is feeling happy, wonderful, awesome, and on top of the world. And we can actually bring that person up, that skill, to a +10. So this, she feels, is the right skill to use when it comes to our stress level and how we experience our emotions. So with this skill, the SUE skill, we can actually change our emotional experience from stress to happiness, rather than feeling nothing. This helps us to move our stress level from a negative zone to 0 stress to positive zone, where positive tapping is used so that we can reach a +7 to a +10. And we call this +10 a healing event, where there's a threshold shift. And this is where the way you feel, you think, and you act change positively. It is also an energy experience as you feel energized. So looking at this SUE skill, and I have one on my background so that you can follow it without having to share screen, you'll find that that we are able to determine where we are. So based on the stress sensation in the body mapping that we did just now, I want you to now look at this scale and note where you are in the negative zone. As long as you are stressed, you are in the negative zone. So you can see right at the bottom here is -10, and right up here is 0, and you don't feel stress. So please locate where you are in your stress according to the body mapping that we did, or the sensation of stress that you felt just now. This is subjective, so you roughly estimate where you are on that. And I want you to note where you are. You're going to compare this. This is a benchmark. You're going to compare this at the end of the session to see where you are. Okay, that's good. Now, the third question and the final question I'm going to ask is, how do we reduce our stress level? Now, EFT discovery statement is that all negative emotions are caused by a disruption in the energy body. So instead of negative thoughts causing a negative emotion, we have negative thoughts cause a disruption in the body's energy system, which result in a stuck emotional stress. So it is actually a 3-stage process rather than 2. So by correcting the disruption, by tapping on acupressure points, we correct the energy flow by changing the energy disruption, like a clog pipe, basically. And this sensation of emotional stress will very quickly dissipate. So You don't have to believe it to work. Just enjoy the process and the result of it. Now, I do not have time to take you all the way to a clasped hand, but any forward movement will help you feel unstuck and relief. So this is what we're going to do. Again, we start now with what we call the heart protocol. So sit comfortably. And I want you to point to yourself, this is me. All right? Now place the center of your palm and place it right where you have pointed to yourself, this is me. And the center of the other palm on top of the other one. So your primary hand is the first to be on your chest. Now I want you to feel the warmness of your hand connecting to your heart. Focus on the sensation that it brings. This is called the heart protocol. How do you feel when you do this? For some of you, you realize it's actually a familiar feeling. You feel grounded. You feel good. This familiar feeling is actually the feeling of being hugged. Yes. So when you need to be comforted and there's no one to hug, you can hug yourself in this manner. And as we know, when you are hugged, it's reported that it releases some feel-good hormones like oxytocin. So this is very simple and useful because if you are so stressed that you find difficulty functioning, the only thing you can actually do is this. And if you place your hands in this heart position, your energy will return back to you, and then you can take the next step, and that is breathing. Now, this breathing is used widely for people who are perhaps feeling anxious and even hyperventilating. But this is the one that I normally use. In conjunction with placing your hands in a heart position, it works much better. So what I want you to do is just breathe, following this pattern. I want you to breathe in through your nose, a count of 3. 1, 2, 3, hold, and breathe out a count of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in, 1, 2, 3. And I want you to breathe out through your pursed lips, a count of 6, because it's easier to control with your pursed lips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in. And slowly breathe out with your pursed lips. Breathe in. And slowly breathe out with your pursed lips. Breathe in. And breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. In and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Continue to do this. We can add in visualization if we need to. You can breathe in and visualize peace coming down on top of the head. And as you exhale and breathe out, you breathe out all the stress from every part of your body. Breathe in peace coming down on top of the head. And slowly breathe out all the stress from every part of your body. Breathe in peace. And slowly breathe out stress. Peace. And slowly breathe out stress. Well done. Now I want you to check and take note of your body map, the stress body map, and just take note of the reduction in the stress sensation and general relief. And check on the SU scale where you are now on that scale. Good. The next exercise is to do the energy EFT tapping protocol. So what we have done earlier is actually useful when you have someone who is feeling anxious or even having a panic attack. Just placing your hands here and slowly bringing out back your energy and stabilizing your emotion, then breathing will help to calm that person down very quickly. Now, what we're going to do now is the second part, and that is to tap on the acupressure points. Okay? I believe that the biggest stress is people stress. Yeah. While we want to socialize with people, we also get stressed by people. So unfortunately, this is how we are. And so I just want you to picture a person that you feel stressed about. Picture the face, and that's all you need to do. And you'll find that some of these stress sensations that are in your body will intensify. And now you realize who is stressing you out. Note where they are. Benchmark your SUE again. Where are you in that SUE scale? So let's tap it away, or let's tap so that we can reduce this. And what we do is just do what I do and say what I say. That is the fastest way to learn. All right. Now, check a stress sensation. Okay, let's go for this. I wanted to put in a share screen. Okay, I'll just do a quick share screen on this one so that you will know, get an idea where you are. Yeah. So this is what we are going to do. We'll be tapping on 14 points. All right. And these are the names of it. Top of the brow, corner eye, under the eye, under the nose, under the mouth or the chin, I call it, under the collarbone point, and then we're actually tapping on the fingers at the corner of the fingernail, just outside of it. All right, and then we tap on all the fingers and the cartilage jaw and back to the heart position. So we start with the heart and we end with that. All right. Okay, so back to the heart position. And feel the warm sensation coming in, stabilizing you. And we're going to do what we call a setup, where we bring our attention and intention on what we want. And the best way to reduce people's stress is very easy. Just put the word stress after the name of that person. All right. So I can just put a name of Mark Stress. Okay. So you put whatever name of that person that's stressing you and attach the word stress on it. Now see this. I want to release all these marked stress or whatever name you have. Just take the breath. This breathing is to release the stress. I want to release all these marked stress. Take a slow deep breath. I want to release all these marked stress. Slowly breath. On top of the head, marked stress. Yes, if you put a band around here, right on top, about ½ inch behind, there's probably less hair around it, like a hurricane. Okay, tapping there 5 times or more, and say mark stress, and take a slow deep breath. Now 2 fingers tapping here for the third eye, lightly tapping 5 times or more. As Dr. Wong noted, a loving touch. Right? Don't hammer his heart on it. Lightly tapping. Mark stress. Just slowly breath. Giving an eyebrow, you put the 2 fingers between the eyebrow, you'll definitely touch both sides. Mark stress. Just slowly breath. Side of the eye now, mark stress. Just slowly breath. Under the eye, mark stress. Slowly breath. Under the nose, mark stress. Slowly breath. On the chin, mark stress. Collarbone point. Now, collarbone point is a little bit tricky to find because it's not the collarbone itself. There's a U-shaped bone here, and you go down about 1½ inch down and 1½ inch either to the left or right. you get a soft spot there. And it actually vibrates through your body when you make the sound. And you'll find that. And that's your collarbone point. It's also your emergency button because you feel any negative emotion like anger or anxiety coming out. Start tapping here and it will slowly go down. Okay, it's very useful. Again, say mark stress. Or I choose to release all this marked stress. And take a slow deep breath. Thumb, again, is at the corner of your fingernail and just outside of it. And use one finger to tap on it. Sometimes it can be a bit sensitive, right? So tapping on it 5 times or more, say mark stress. Take a slow deep breath. Next finger, mark stress. Take a slow deep breath. Next finger, releasing all this marked stress. Slow deep breath. Next finger, releasing all this marked stress. Slow deep breath. Little finger, I choose to release all remaining marked stress. Slow deep breath. Carotid jaw, I choose to release all remaining marked stress. Slow deep breath. Now place your hands back in a heart position and notice the change in your sensation. You probably feel more energized too. Notice the sensation that you felt earlier on when you picture that person. And if you picture that person again, you'll notice that that sensation that was there earlier has reduced in intensity or is no longer there. For you to remove all that stress that you feel in your body when you think of that person, you need to tap again another round and another round until it's gone. Now I want you to check in your scale again, SUE scale, where you are on that scale. So I'm not able to have the time to push you all the way up to a +10. If you can have a forward movement and reach even a 0, that would be wonderful. If you're going into a positive, it's even more wonderful. All right. And what will happen is you can feel the changes that's coming in. It changes how you feel, you think, and you act. Right. So if you hit a +10, as I say, there's a threshold shift. And that requires some positive tapping to introduce certain words that are positive words to help you reach up there. And you'll find that you will feel differently about that person, you think differently about the person, and you will act differently. Because like if you have been avoiding that person and then you see that person going in the lift and you just don't want to be with him in the lift, right? And now you find it's easier, you can just go in without any stress. All right. So do this, and you may even find yourself loving that person unconditionally. Right. So in the chat, you can put in where is your SUE before and after. That means we started the session by looking at the SUE, noting where our stress is, a stress sensation, then where we are on the SUE, and now where you are now. Okay, and perhaps you can even make a small comment there and on how you feel, whether you feel a reduced intensity of stress and whatnot. Now, thank you for your participation. And now I hand the meeting back.
Thank you, Isaac. I think we take a short break for Q&A. Okay, so thank you, Isaac, for your unconditional sharing. Because if you go to his class, you have to pay, I think, a lot of money. But he taught the techniques here. And the reason why I'm very attracted to Isaac, because when he came to see me, most patients who come to see me, they are very stressed and they are very gloomy and depressed. But he is very different. When he come to me to see me, he was smiling all the way. You know, initially I thought that he is inappropriate laughing. You know, but after getting to know him, I think he's truly happy and using this technique. So maybe Isaac, I think you have missed sharing the reason why you come into this practice. The things that happen when in your childhood. When you explained to me, I thought it was like a PTSD. You know, so can you share with the audience what happened?
Okay. Am I on? All right. How did I come to know about EFT? Well, what happened was I was there was about 22 years ago, I believe, and I was a person who thought that I could do anything when I put my mind to it. So I was working on several projects at the same time, and one of the projects hit some staff problem. So some of the staff left and all that, and we couldn't find replacement for more than a month. And during that time, my wife had to be very involved in that business while I was involved in other things, other business. And one day while driving to work, I felt a heaviness in my chest. And it went down my left arm. I thought to myself, could this be some kind of a heart problem I'm having? So I made an appointment at Sunway Medical Center to see a cardiologist, and he put me through the different tests, and we did the treadmill test, and he said, you are healthy. So there's nothing wrong with the heart. So I said, then how do you explain the pain and heaviness in my chest again when it goes down my arm? Then he said, maybe it's frozen shoulder. Now, of course, I didn't believe that because my father had frozen shoulder. I know exactly what that is. So whatever it is, since he says to give me a clean bill of health, I said, okay, I'll just carry on in my life. And after a week or so, and got a call early in the morning about some problem at work, I suddenly felt a massive pain in my chest that ran down my arm. It was like an elephant that sat on my chest. And I said, this must be heart attack. So I quickly got myself admitted to the emergency in the University Hospital. And for a week, they put me on bed rest and tested me for, well, every day checking my ECG and whatnot. Then after a week, the surgeon came to me and said, we're going to put you on the treadmill test and see how, whether there's any problem with your heart. If there is, then we're going straight in to do, well, whatever, whether it's whatever is necessary, surgery. So after doing the treadmill test, the surgeon says to me, you can go home. I was a bit of a shock, I was stunned. I said, what do you mean I can go home? And we couldn't find anything really wrong with your heart. So I said, then how do you explain the shortness of breath, the heaviness in my chest? And so he just told me, we're going to give you some medication. You can Google and find out more about this. So that is his prescription for me. So I couldn't function even when I went home, because even climbing up the stairs will trigger this massive pain in my chest and breathing problems. So I couldn't function for weeks. Yes. So what I could do was just to Google. So I Google the symptom, chest pain, down the arm, and so forth. And it turned out that most of them says it's cardiac arrest and all that, until I came across one that says that anxiety disorder can mimic heart attack symptoms. And that sounds interesting. So I clicked on, is there a cure or some kind of healing for anxiety disorder? And so there was a list of sites that came out, and one of them was EFT by Gary Craig. At the time, Gary Craig was giving out his manual for free, and that's how it became so popular. So I said, all right, since I spent already 20,000, because I went to a private MRI at the time, 20 years ago, it's expensive, cost about 8,000, something like that. So I already spent so much money, so free sounds good. So I downloaded that and I did this self-help tapping. And it felt better. It felt better. It does relief. And I continued to do this and try to master that and keep on tapping. And after about 2.5 around that weeks, as I was about to go out with my wife, I had another panic attack, and I said, "You go ahead. I'm staying back to tap." And so all I could do was tap. And then suddenly, what clicked in my mind was the sensation that I was experiencing was the same sensation I had when I was in primary school, about standard 6, where I was abused by a teacher. And immediately, I felt all the anxiety, all the stress just discharged from my body, like someone pulled a plug from under me, and from the top of the head, it just flushed out. I considered this as an energy experience. And since that day, I had no anxiety attack or panic attack anymore. So I thought that was amazing what this EFT could do for me. And I said to myself, I must teach this, And so that's why I went to learn other things, master EFT and all those things involved, and spend almost 20 years teaching people about this. And it's a real self-help tool, because it's simple enough, it's easy enough to teach people, and it's effective, and it is also efficient, because it is quick. Efficient means it may be effective, but you don't want it to be effective in a year time. You want it to be effective as soon as possible. And I found that this is what the results that I'm getting. All right, thank you for taking so much time. Okay.
Great. Thank you, Isaac. Maybe I summarize the technique because in the interest of time. So I want to ask you, when you're doing this step, do you have to close your eyes?
Not necessarily. It all depend on the individual. Sometimes you tap near the eye, you sort of automatically want to close your eyes. So you don't have to. In fact, I have someone who was driving and tapping at the same time, and he was stopped by the police because the police thought he was holding a handphone, but actually he was just tapping. So yes, you can do it with the eyes open.
Okay. Another thing is that so just now you mentioned when you are tapping, you have to find the issue. So in your case, the example that you gave is a person that stress you. So Mark is a person. So let's say you are working for a boss. So your boss maybe Mr. Wong, Mr. Wong stress. So you use it, and at the end of the tapping, you said you have to say to yourself, I choose to release the energy of Mr. Wong stress. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, releasing all this Mr. Wong stress. That's all. All right. So I'm making it as simple as I can, but sometimes as you go on, you might want to release your anger, you might release feeling unappreciated. What I'm doing is very basic, but even the basic, you can feel the difference. All right.
So you can change the words to release the anger, the envy, the craving.
Yes,
craving,
exactly. So
craving.
all you need to is to ask yourself, how do you feel about that person? What is the negative feeling you're having? So you can feel unappreciated, you feel that it's unfair, you feel that angry with him or frustrated, or you feel helpless because he's not giving you the tools to do your work. So all these things you can tap it away, just one round and it just goes off like that, and until you hit a zero, when all the negative has been tapped away, and then that's when we introduce a positive. So how do you want to feel about your boss? What do you need to feel to be happier? What do you need? What positive emotion do you need to be able to carry on with a good relation with your boss? So these are things need. So you may want to tap in a positive zone. That is, I need to feel understood. I need to feel appreciated. So and look, checking the SU, you go up higher and higher and higher until when you hit a +10, you don't feel angry anymore. You don't feel upset with your boss anymore. In fact, you have a new empathy with him. Perhaps he was pretty stressed too. Perhaps he was no. So you don't feel all that negative emotion and stress. So earlier on, you may want to quit your job, but now suddenly you felt that it's okay to stay on.
So just to remind all of you, the scale runs from -10, 0 to 10. So a lot of times we think that if you are at the scale of 0 is perfect. So 0 is a zero neutral energy. That's not perfect. From Isaac's point of view or the energy point of view, if you are at +10, that is perfect. Because when you're +10, there's nothing that can touch you. Any negative comments or negative energy will not affect you. So this technique allows you to go from 0 to 10. So 0 is not the best score. Is that true, Isaac?
Yes, that's right. It's good to go above +7, because if you stop too soon, those negative emotion and stress can come back. So the higher you go, the more permanent all these feelings will go off.
Okay. So one last question for you. What is your daily practice using this technique? I mean, how long do you spend doing this to yourself for your mental well-being?
The morning you can do what I call the good morning protocol, which is very simple, because you can wake up in the morning and you say, today I got so much work to do, you don't look forward to the day. So how do you change this feeling? So I just step on a good morning protocol. It's very simple. You understand that this is meant for lay people, for self-help, and to just change things, how you feel and think in just a few minutes without spending so much time. So I just say, good morning. a very good morning, a wonderful good morning, and then just tap what type of good morning I want to know. So a happy good morning, a sunny good morning, a wonderful good, whatever. It's just one round and it changes how I feel on the whole day. And that's good because the stress level has just gone down. And it's easier to flow with the day when the stress is lower, when you feel more positive and optimistic about the day. So it's a very simple practice that you do, that I do in the morning, and it changes the day, the whole day, how you feel about it. And then in between, if you feel a bit stressed about certain thing, I tap to remove things that are stressing me. I tap before I come for this talk here today. I tap for my wife to stress sometimes by things, and it's wonderful as a lifestyle tool.
Okay. Okay, I think we have taken more time than is needed. Let me summarize the technique again. First, we have to find the issue. Next, the technique is so if you have forgotten everything, the most important step is putting your hands on your heart. So this technique is very back to the principle of grounding and anchoring your mind to your body. So when you're doing this, you're actually anchoring your mind to your body. So the steps start with the hand in your heart and finding out the issue, and the tapping start from the head. So it looks like a monkey. You have to tap on the top of the head, then your forehead and your eyebrow, the inner part, the medial part, and then the lateral part, and also the inferior part of your eyes. And the tapping must be gentle. It's a loving gentle. It's not the hard, the anger tapping, and slow. Followed by on top of the lips, below the lips, and then below your clavicle. Followed by the tapping of all the fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the karate chop. And you end with hands in the chest again, and you also verbalize, I choose to release the negative energy, the stress energy of whatever that you are doing. So once you do that, then you go back to the scale again. What is your score? And you keep doing it until your score go to the higher level. So that is the protocol that Isaac had taught. And so it looks very strange and funny, but some of my patients that come to see me with headache, with very stressed. So I ask them to wait outside, and ask them to tap on themselves. So after maybe half an hour, when they come back and they say their headache has improved at least 50%. So this is a very simple technique that you can teach your patient. You don't have to do the whole protocol, just tapping on the eyebrow, just wherever they have headache, ask them to tap. Just this one simple step without going to protocol and without verbalizing anything, will reduce the sensation that they have. So with that, I will thank Isaac for coming to our channel, and if any of you wants to learn this technique formally, you can contact him. I will put his contact on the chat box later, and I'm sure it can help you or your family or even your patient. So with that, thank all of you for listening, and we'll see you again next month. Okay, bye-bye. Thank you, Isaac.